Well, thank you very much, everybody. We have about 2 minutes left. I think if Amanda and Anatole are still there, we can have one group question. Hello, welcome back. So I had this question for all of you, because I'm kind of curious. You obviously started doing this work before SOSP happened, but now you've published this work and you've just attended a session where you've seen 2 other papers that weren't yours, and maybe there's been others in the conference. So I guess the question for all of you, and I'll start with Amanda, is what have you learned from today's session and from the conference so far that you think will improve or change how you do or deal with NVM and persistence in future?
Right. I think Edward had a really good question for me about, how these kernel bypass accelerators that, access the memory via non-CPU instructions. I think that's a very interesting thing to think about. And as these devices become more common, it's probably going to be important to incorporate that. So I think that's an interesting direction that I've gotten from attending this conference. And seeing the other talks on, kernel bypass and performance in data centers as well.
Awesome. Very quickly, Anatole, because we're going to run out of time.
Yeah. I don't have a big idea coming to mind right now, but I'm not sure what to say.
All right. And final word, Wookie.
Actually, I have been working on the designing index structures for persistent memory, but and for other works, focus on other aspects of the using non-volatile memory. So yeah, I learned a lot of things from other works in other aspects.
Awesome. Well, listen, thank you all. I wish we could give you a big round of applause. Everybody's doing it at home in their private Zoom rooms. We're going to finish now because it turns out the Ask Me Anything session starts right now at 3:15. So if you're interested in Ask Me Anything, please jump over to that. If you're interested in talking to the sponsors, you've got 15 minutes to go get a cup of coffee or walk around the room or do something else. Anyway, thank you very much, everybody, and see you all later. Bye-bye.
And maybe just a final question to Wong-Ki, but also to all the authors of this session, so Amanda and Anatole as well. It's kind of exciting that we finally have real NVM to experiment with. Do you want to share some insights you learned from working with actual NVM versus things you have read from papers that have studied NVM in terms of simulated by slowing down DRAM? Would anyone like to kind of summarize some insights that working with real NVM has had, or any surprises?
I think the biggest insight on my end from looking at the results from emulated NVM is that just the capacity difference seems to be, at least for my work and project, the biggest driver of why the additional capacity seems to be a big role, and why the other systems we looked at that were built with emulated NVM with DRAM don't seem to scale as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Does anyone want to add anything? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, for me it was probably the bandwidth when we worked with simulated NVM, the access patterns and how you order your writes don't make that much. You don't have to think too much about them, but once you go with real NVM, you really need to think about how the access patterns, the data access patterns, to maximize the bandwidth on the device.
Great.
Okay. Actually, for me, I have been working on the persistent indexes from my PhD studies. So in my PhD study, most of my persistent indexes are based on the emulated DRAM. But when we run our persistent indexes on real MVM, the most difference between emulated DRAM and real persistent memory is limited bandwidth, and the hardware architecture such as XP buffer in the real persistent memory, and also the directory cache course information is stored in MVM, not in the DRAM or other CPU memory controller. So this different hardware architecture makes unexpected result from our persistent indexes. So I think we should more catalyze for the persistent memory for our future work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, working with the real hardware always adds more complexity, but also more opportunities for designing systems and optimization. So looking forward to a lot of future work in this area as well. So thank you again to all the panelists, all the authors, to the audience as well. And I encourage you to continue the discussion on Slack. And I think we have an Ask Me Anything session coming up next at SOSP. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.